Hello everybody, it is Skull Queen and welcome back to another video. Today we are going to be tackling the dystopian villager neighborhood for Blood Drop. Let me tell you guys, this build took me over a week. I had probably 6 hours of footage. So first and foremost, I just want to apologize for all of the transitions in this video. I tried to build during dawn, but that doesn't last very long. It lasts maybe about an hour. So you'll see it gets pretty light outside, and then once I start time traveling, I reverse the time back to 5 a.m. So you'll see it get lighter and darker a few times throughout the video. But to begin this build, I started with the pathing, and oh my goodness, this diagonal pathing is so difficult to get correct. My brain was hurting, you guys. I probably spent close to 3 hours just figuring out this pathing alone. And then I decided that I wanted to tear down half of it and rebuild it because I wanted both sides to be even, and it was just a lot. My brain was working in overdrive and felt like it was turning to mush. There's a ton of footage that I cut out where I'm seriously just running around in circles trying to see how I'm gonna lay everything out, trying to see how I'm gonna make things even. And even though this seems like it's going by pretty quickly, it really wasn't. Trust me, you guys, I struggled a lot. I'm not an artistic person. I can't even put these paths down without needing a million references for help. So the creators of these roads are just geniuses to me. And ignore that whole pile of dirt back there. I end up tearing this whole half down because I wanted to make it even with the left half, and I liked that one better. I don't know. But I tried to keep as much of the footage in just so you can see how I did it as best as possible. If it is too quick for you, you can always slow down the video in the video settings here on YouTube. But here I am continuing with the path, and I'll pop back in once I start discussing some more. Like I mentioned earlier, you can see that this right side is all torn down, and now I'm rebuilding it to match the little median on the left side. I really do love how this came out, so the effort was definitely worth it, but honestly, I don't know if I'm ever gonna make a diagonal cul-de-sac type neighborhood again. It was just so much brain power, and I don't have it. So now that I had most of the road design placed, I wanted to go ahead and start moving the houses just because you do have to time travel day by day in order to get all of the houses moved. And as you can see, I did start out with Petrie because she was really the only villager that I had a plan for going into this neighborhood. Since she does look like a little scientist or a doctor, she is going to be our scientist of the island trying to come up with a cure for the zombies. And I knew that I wanted her to have a little bit more space for this build, so I put her on the end because I knew her build was going to be bigger and I wanted to extend that out onto the beach. So once I had all of the houses placed, I went ahead and started with my trees. I wanted to have one of every single fruit tree as well as one of every single vegetable in this build, and I don't really know why. I guess it's probably because I don't plan on having an official orchard or farm for this island. If there ends up being room in the end, then I might include one, but I really don't think there is going to be room, so I wanted to include everything at least one spot on the island, and I figured near the villagers would be perfect because they could be the ones harvesting and taking care of the plants. build was literally 80% pathing, I would say, and probably 20% decorations. As you can see, I'm going around continuing the sidewalk as well as the Grate design all around this neighborhood, and I really do think it made the whole industrial post-apocalyptic vibe come through. As you can see also, I decided to download this stone path design just because I didn't want to have concrete absolutely everywhere, and I was really itching for a different kind of path code that wasn't a road. So I managed to scrounge up enough spots to download this. I really don't even know how I managed to do that, but I'm really happy with it. So you can see I'm just going around to all the villagers and giving them a little entryway with the brick pathing, and you'll see more pathing continue after that. I'm so sorry if it's not the most interesting or exciting for you, but this is really what the build was, and I just want to show you guys that you can really achieve a lot without a ton of terraforming or crazy visuals or tricks. You can just really use your custom codes and have a flat space and really make something unique and pretty out of it. Well, maybe pretty isn't the right word, but you know. Yay, so time for some decorations. And of course, I'm starting with Petrie's yard because she is the doctor of the island and she's hard at work experimenting on a cure for these zombies. And I mostly stuck with the hospital equipment, but I also used some of the space equipment as well. And I thought the combination of those really did complement each other. And then within these space pods, I decided to place a creepy skeleton. I really wish they would let us put an anatomical model or a normal skeleton in there, but I digress. As you can see, I'm continuing with our little lab over here, and we also need to have a chalkboard to document our findings. And I, of course, had to include an anatomical model and a skeleton somewhere in the build because they're going to be all around this island. Down here, we have an experimental table where some operations are probably taking place because in order to come up with a cure, you have to dissect zombies. I mean, doesn't everyone know that? Of Petrie's yard, I wanted to continue on the lab vibe, so I placed some grates down first, and you'll see some more of the hospital equipment as well as some lab equipment being placed, and I just love how her whole area turned out. I'm really proud of it, and I think she's gonna find the cure for the zombies pretty soon. On to the rest of the neighborhood, we have, you guessed it, more pathing. And this Grate design was really continued on to every single villager yard, and thankfully I really didn't need more than just the one custom code because I was definitely out of space. And I started playing around with some of the decorations, but I ended up tearing all of this down, and I apologize for how sporadic I am when it comes to decorating the villager yards. I really don't go one yard at a time. I'm kind of running all over the place, and that trend will continue on to the very end. So again, I apologize if it's not the easiest to follow, but hopefully you get some ideas on how to decorate for a dystopian island. This has really been so much fun for opening up my creative side and not being so restricted as far as the items that I'm able to use. If you're interested in any of the codes in this entire build, I'm going to have them all listed for you down below, so be sure to check that out if you're interested in any of them that I'm using today. time to take a break from pathing and focus on these little garden areas. And I really didn't have a plan for these going into it, but I knew I wanted something to break up just the monotony of all of the roads. So I was playing around with the gazebo and the pergolas, but I'm just partial to the pergolas, especially with the red leaves on the roof. I think they're so pretty. And behind the pergola, I decided to put the string party lights because how can you not include those on an island? They're just such a good item. Even on a dystopia, I made it work. So I'm going around and placing a few more dystopian type custom codes just to have the theme come through a little bit stronger. And after that, I continue with adding some more natural elements. This is where I include one of every crop in the game at least once. And I really love the end result. I think it looks realistic and natural, and I love the mix of all of the different vegetables. I think the sprouts look really cute, and I can't believe that the pergolas and the party lights ended up working so well in the middle of a zombie dystopia, but I'm not mad at it. Once I watered my crops, I time traveled and began adding my fencing, and this is really when I think it all starts tying together. It's amazing the difference fencing can make, and especially behind these homes here on the first tier. I really think the lattice fencing behind them really adds to the whole neighborhood vibe, and I believe I end up using 3 different types of fencing throughout this build, and it just goes to show that not everything has to be matchy-matchy. I think that actually ends up making it look more realistic because in a neighborhood, people have different styles and different items in their yards, different style homes, and to have everything so uniform, to me, it's just not that realistic. So I really liked not worrying about anything matching. I just used whatever was in my inventory and whatever color it was, I just worked with it. And the end result, I think, is really dynamic. I love all the mixtures of items and fencing and plants and trees. It really just looks like a cute little dystopian neighborhood. And I bet you didn't think you'd ever hear the words cute and dystopian in the same sentence, but you can mark that off your bingo card. My sporadic decorating, I'm sure you've noticed, but I run around from yard to yard, placing different items and rearranging them until I'm happy with the end result. And let me tell you guys, the combination of the construction items and industrial items, as well as the new vehicles, just everything that was given to us in the update makes this build so much more realistic. I really love the end result, and it's just so fun rearranging these items until I'm happy with them. I love decorating. This is my favorite part of the game. So I hope you guys enjoy. And again, I apologize for the disorganized mess that it is, but it's me. I'm sorry. happy with everyone's yard, I went around with some bushes and flowers and just filled in any space that was still open. I also went and added a few more zombie and dystopian custom codes, and that is essentially the final layer of this build. I do go back and add some vehicles and streetlights off camera, and I'm so sorry I forgot to do it before I stopped recording, and once I remembered, it was just way too far gone. I just could not set up everything, so I am sorry again. Look at me being wrong again. Go her. Okay, so now the final layer before I forgot about the vehicles is actually the leaf campfires and the piles of leaves that I sprinkled around. And I like using these to add to the whole disheveled look of the island, but also to fill in the gaps where the grass is kind of peeking through from the custom codes. And thankfully, I did feel better about it afterwards because the grass was bugging me, but I was not about to tear it all down and put dirt. All right, everybody, the time has come for us to go through this final walkthrough. So let's go ahead and take a look at this neighborhood. I really do like these little garden areas that I put in between the homes. And once we make our way down, you can see that I added some of these vehicles as well as these street decorations, just because I realized I forgot to do that and I didn't feel like setting everything back up. So I apologize. Everything else is the same though. And to be honest, I really liked the freedom of being able to use any item I wanted. There really isn't any rhyme or reason to any of this neighborhood except for Petrie's yard over here because she has to have her own lab since she is the doctor of the island. And she's attempting to find a cure for these dang zombies. And once we make our way back this way, I just love how you can see the houses in the back as you're walking down this road here. And the lattice fencing I think really does add a nice little detail. Okay, but once you're back over on this side, Roscoe's house is right here in front because he is my little baby. And since he does have the music hobby, he gets his own little setup over here. Wolfgang, of course, has to have a doghouse just so he can remember where he came from, and he has a little friend of his own. The continuation of the neighborhood is back here. We have Roswell's house kind of tucked away, and I really gave him the least amount of effort, but what can you do? And as we continue on, I really like how the houses are mismatched and they don't have all the same style or colors. And to me, that makes it more realistic because when you're going through a rundown neighborhood, a lot of the homes do have mismatched paint and random stuff in the yard. And I wanted to make it look as realistic as possible in that regard. I wanted to make it feel like these villagers are actually going through a post-apocalyptic zombie dystopia. So I really hope that that feel was pulled off. I just love how everything looks so grungy and run down. I really liked being able to use a mixture of all of the new items, especially the construction items, and also I was never able to use these trash items on my old island, so it's been really fun to just play around with different combinations of items and design codes. But with that, I believe we were at the end of this villager neighborhood video. Okay, everybody, that is gonna do it for today's speed build. I really hope you enjoyed the process. If you're still here, thank you so much. Please consider subscribing to see more from me in the future, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!